Welcome back for the last video on the drawing window tabs at the bottom here. And the very last one is tab number 18, and that covers glass. So adding glass to your elevations is the purpose of having this tab. And there's a couple components to this. First one is the glass table in the program. And the glass table is the master glass table. There is a video on this, and it correlates directly to this list in this tab. So however you have sorted your glass list here, we've got sort by glass ID, by description. That's how the sort's going to appear in the glass tab as well. Now, one thing is if you're in the tab and you go and change something in the glass table, you have to get off of the glass tab, like say back to layout, and then go back to the glass tab for it to show the change. So it doesn't like update dynamically. It has to get off the tab and get back onto it to update the list. And you'll notice this is like the other grids in the program where there's a blank little filter bar up here. And this is what you're going to use to find the glass part that you're looking for. And again, if you type, it's going to find a description that contains what you're typing. Now we've added the color and the show label columns here a little while ago, but those are useful for, and the glass table video covers this, but the show label is actually what will show on the drawing, and the color just helps you find a specific color if it's not in the description. So those are things you have to define and you have to configure in the glass table. So let's just say we want some blue tempered 1/4 inch glass. So notice how if I type 0.25, that's not going to work for the filtering. So I have to type 0.25, and that will help. That will help do it. And then the insulated, I have to type. Well, obviously it's no if it's a 1/4 inch thickness. So you can do one or the other there. So if we want this reflective blue 2000, and let's say there's no horizontals in this elevation, so it's simple. I'm just going to add by row. So add by row is already selected. Add is actually selected. So all we have to do is take our mouse and click on the row. And you'll see that automatically it puts the T for tempered as the glass, as the label. So if I were to type something different in here, um, then it would show whatever I type, and that can be up to 10 characters. So now we can't do that in this window, so we'd have to go back to the glass table, and I'm going to look for glass ID 130, and we'll show you how that works. So the blue label, so I might want it to say blue-A for blue annealed. So I'm going to close that, and then now remember I have to get off of this tab and get back to it. And there's 131, so let's find our 130. So there's 130, and there's our blue A. So now if I wanted to actually change this, I can just click on it and it replaces the glass that was there with what I selected from the list. So let's say that's all annealed, that's how I would do it. So now let's go to a different elevation. That's elevation 7, we can see that from our drawing here. We go to another elevation, and I know that should have been tempered, but let's just do tempered again. And actually 131 was the tempered version of that. So I'm just gonna add that by row. And remember, I didn't add a show label characters to that one. So that's why it's just showing the T. So I'm gonna go to the previous elevation. Now this one's a big curtain wall elevation. So let's say all the glass is the same. Let's say it's off the ground, it doesn't need tempered, or it's not, or maybe they all need to be tempered or whatever. So if we need to apply for this purpose, if we need to apply glass to the entire elevation instead of having to go per row or by light, it's real simple just to hit by elevation. We still have add selected, and let's say we want green glass now, and let's say we want green reflective tempered, and I know it's curtain wall, but let's just say it's 1/4 inch all around. All we have to do is click anywhere in the elevation, and that's going to apply it to the entire elevation. So that's what happens when we do by elevation. So now let's go to another elevation. And this one, let's say we want to do this by row again. And let's say we want to do the green reflective tempered on the bottom 3 rows. And then we want to do the annealed on the top rows, and then maybe mix it up a little and go back to tempered for certain lights. So if I want these little lights to be tempered, remember I can just click over them and it replaces what was there before. We can also delete the glass. So let's say, I decided, oh, I need to change one light here. And if I need to delete one light, I select delete by light and click on that light, and that one's gone. And if I need it to be gone completely, then there's no glass in that light anymore. If I need to change it, I could have just changed over it, but I could also change it by clicking a new piece, going back to add action, and now I can add a new piece there. So there's a lot of functionality between these 6 options here. And it all uses that glass list, which is part of your glass table, or same thing as your glass table. So let's go back to another elevation with a door. Oh, and here's the one with the arches. You'll notice the arch glass is actually rectangular, so it's going to price it that way because that's the way it needs to be priced. And if you need to use templates and everything to get glass cut, that's a whole different story. But for pricing, for estimating and quoting, that's how it's going to do the arched pieces of glass. So let's just do another by elevation here. We'll call it 0.25, if I can type that correctly. And we'll call it tempered. And then we'll say we want green again. So there's the green 2000. Oh, I noticed that's all one word there. Let's do the reflective. So then I'm going to do by elevation add, and I'm quickly adding it to that elevation. So we go to the previous elevation. Now this one has a couple doors in it, and I just remember, but you can see the door lights here. Like here's the pair of doors, here's a single door light, here's a single door light. So door lights have to be added by light. So let's see what happens when we try and add by row. And I'm jumping around from, if I were to put glass in the first elevation and then start adding it to the next elevations, let's do that here. Then it's going to remember what glass I used and find it in the list again. So let's do green, let's do that reflective annealed and tempered. So the reflective tempered, I'm going to do by row, and this one already had glass in it, but we're just going to change it all. So I'm going to do it by row there for tempered. I'm going to do by light for the door lights, and then I'm going to do annealed by row on these top. Now you'll notice the transom lights are still tempered, and that's good because when we selected the first row, doors aren't really considered a row, so it carries up into the transom and back down. So the first row in door light panels, or in door panels, is actually the transom. So that's why it's doing that. It's a little confusing because the glass was already there. But now let's go, since we selected that type of glass, now there's 2 different types. So when we go to the next elevation, it still keeps us in that part of the glass list, so that's good. And so the tempered is what we're picking here. Remember, the doors are right here, the middle, and on the right side. So I'm going to do by row, tempered, and then I'm going to click by light on everything that doesn't have it. So that would be door lights, and this window, it gets confused on the rows and columns that a window's in because you're spanning 2 panels, but that's the window I clicked on by light, so I added my glass to that. And remember, you can just go pick a different glass part and then either add it by light or by row or delete. Now view is actually when we're clicking view and we're picking by light a certain piece of glass and we want to see what it is. So that's when it tells us what it is and what size it is. And that's the actual size of the glass too with the added daylight. So that's the way the view works. Now if we view by row, and they're all the same type in the row, then it should be fine. So we click on that. So it says row 1 has the following glass type. So it's not giving us sizes because there could be multiple sizes for a given row, but it's definitely telling us the type. So remember, if you want to view the size, just do by light and then click on the piece of glass like that window or transom up there, and then it'll show you the type of glass and the size. So I believe that covers the glass. Just remember that you have to go to your glass table to change things. Get out of the glass tab and go back to it, and it'll update that list. All right, thanks.